I'd like to start this workshop. I was going to, I kind of forgot too. I was getting ready to do the Pledge of Allegiance, but this is the workshop. We're going to call the workshop to order. This is the May 12th workshop, and we've got a couple of things on the agenda that we want to talk about. I believe Mary McGall is on the line. I think we're going to jump our agenda and go right to the pickleball. Mary, can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear me?
Perfect. Can you give us a little details on the pickleball courts?
So I've had a couple groups that do pickleball come. They want to paint lines on the courts down at Marina Park. So the last three courts furthest from the parking lot, they want to put 6 pickleball courts out there. They have got a quote from someone for $2,550. The groups said that they are sure that they can raise at least half of that amount. So we're looking at about over $1,200 possibly on our end that we've put out, but they're committing to raising at least half of the funds for it.
That's very nice of them. I think the pickleball courts would be nice. Is this something that, Dan, are you on there? Can your guys paint those stripes, or is it a certain
there's a company that, or an individual that's going to do it. He's given me a proposal. I have their certificate of insurance. I have their W-9. So I have all the paperwork that I need from them to do it.
Perfect. How's the board feel about it? Quite frankly, I think it'd be a nice new sport, and it might be something that I could get out there and play.
So the person that you talk to that would like to paint it, there will be contrasting lines, so that does not interfere with the tennis course line?
It does not interfere with the tennis courts.
Okay.
I mean, on the existing courts, but the last 3 courts aren't used as frequently for the tennis. But they said they do it on tennis courts, and it doesn't interfere with that game at all if they need those courts.
Yeah, anyhow, those courts will be small. I'm fine with it.
Very good. Anyone else from the board? Good. All right. Sounds good.
All right.
Thanks, Mary.
Okay, so the board would authorize up to $1,200 in expense by the town?
Yeah, that'd be great.
It? Huh?
Yeah.
We would have to pay it up front, and then they would give us their donation back. It's $2,550.
Okay, $2,550.
Well, I'm sure we can find that in fiscal 21's budget, and if not, we'll put it in 22, but I'd like to get moving on it.
They can start soon, and it said they take 3 to 5 days for them to do it.
Let's get it done.
Okay, thank you.
The board's approving it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, next on the agenda, we have we want to do a very preliminary discussion in regards to the fiscal 22 budget highlights. And there's a few things that I want to address on it. I've given the board a highlighted sheet as well as the green bar. We have a green bar for estimated revenue, and we have a green bar for estimated expenditures. And once again, it is a budget. Everything is estimates, and we do the best that we can when we put these together. A couple of the things that I want to mention to the board is that if you look through the revenue and the expenditures, you'll see that our admissions, amusement and admissions tax is way down. That's the hotel motel tax. You'll see our parks and rec revenue is down, and that's because you really couldn't do these items. But there's quite a few items that are showing up in the fiscal year 21 budget on the actual that is going to be considerably off. The fortunate thing is the American Rescue dollars that will be coming to the town of Elkton. We'll have hopefully more information each day that that money will be able to fill in on those areas that we have been laxed in. One other additional part to that is there was a lot of reading involved, and I asked the board to take a look at all those links that Joe Zarillo had sent to us. But there's a lot of information there about the Treasury Department is wanting us to not think about our lack of revenue from fiscal 21 and or 20, but think about what we're going to be losing in 22 and 23. So it kind of gave me a little bit of a different look at this, because even though it appears that the town's going to be getting probably close to, I'm going to say 13 million, it's on paper right now. It's going to be paid out in 2 staunches, 6.5 per staunch. It's what they call it. I don't know exactly what that means. I've never heard that word before. But and it may be off by about 10%. That number is what they're saying once they get the actual numbers. But this could start to hit our account at any time. We are truly believing that we should have that first amount of money by the end of May into our account. So that could be as much as $6.5 million will be funneled in. Not 100% sure, but that's what the belief is when you read all the information you receive. So keeping those things in mind, that's certainly going to help a lot of people. It's going to help with our budget and so forth. A lot of the losses that we had over the last year and the losses that we've had in future years, we could use that money on water, sewer, infrastructure, broadband. We can also give money to 501c3s and so forth. But I think what we need to look at for the next, at least the next several months, once we get through this, is to find out what we need and what we project maybe our losses may be for the betterment of the whole town of Elkton. So we really need to keep that in mind as we move forward. So a couple of the other things I wanted to touch base on so that the board is really aware of this. The Elkton Police Department currently has 37 employed officers. We have 2 that are in the academy as we speak. But last year we budgeted for 45 officers. So we're having a tough time finding officers as well as everyone else across the country. But I want to let you know that that revenue that we didn't spend last year will be coming back to the town of Elkton also for this fiscal 22, which we're kind of estimating it a little bit into the anticipated fund balance. Department of Public Works is currently at 35 employees. They're down at least 3 people right now that we're aware of. I'm not sure how many we budgeted Dan's group for last year, but we are short in Public Works. We have been short in Public Works, and there's also dollars there that's going to be coming back into the fiscal year 22 budget. So I'm going to kind of go down the highlights, and please interrupt me anytime. And I want to stress that when this is the wish list of all the department heads brought this together. That's what you're seeing right here. And if you think that we need to make any cuts or any additions, we can do that. In the next week or so, we'll firm this thing up, and then we'll have the kind of not the firm proposal to the board, but it'll be a little bit clearer on what our actual numbers are. So I'm proposing that the tax rate will remain the same as fiscal year 21. There won't be any increase in the tax rate for the town of Elkton. The personal property tax rate will be the same as fiscal year 21, which will be the same exact tax rate with no increase. Item number 3, you're going to see our quarterly trash collection fee. Our current rate is $32.50. We just entered into a new contract with our provider of trash collection, and it's going to go up 80 cents per quarter is what I'm projecting here. So your trash rate will go from a quarterly fee of $32.50 to $33.30. So it's 80 cents per quarter to maintain the contract that we have with our carrier.
How much difference in money is that 33.30 the increase as opposed to what they were paying previously, which is $32.50. I know it's not a whole lot, but if you add up all the residents where they stop pickup trash, it comes to a figure. Do you have that? If not, then don't worry about it.
No, I'm gonna ask, Steve, do you have that number?
What, the increase?
No, yes, what was the increase from our contract?
It was 80 cents per quarter.
What does that equate to, in total dollars?
I don't have that in front of me. You
No
mean
problem.
dollar total for the course of the year? Their contract is an odd period. It starts, the contract period runs like October to September. So that's the negotiated, this is about, I believe the third year of the contract we currently have.
What I'm saying, Steve, is the fact that how many households does the truck stop to pick up trash? And since there's going to be an increase in each, what does that amount to? So.
Okay, and that work paper is actually in the other room from where I am now
It's
sitting.
not a problem.
Okay, I can certainly send that to the board.
Right, thank you.
That would be great, but I'm actually, I think I have it here in front of me now, Charles. I think it went from, I believe it goes from 541, no, I'm sorry. It goes from 695 to 740, so it looks like it's about $45,000 difference.
Okay, thanks. That's
Is
all.
that a yearly increase or is that just into your contract?
This would be the new contract year, and I think it was 40, that's about right, 45. I think it went up about 45,000.
And that's good for how long? 1 year?
That's the 1 year increase. And there's another year after that, I believe. I don't know if Beth can hear me or not. I think she has that in front of her.
Yeah, so if you wouldn't mind, send us an email with what the contract is.
I sure can.
Thank you, Steve. Okay, item number 4, going back to the Elkton Police Department sworn officers. There's no cost of living increase this year for the collective bargaining. Everyone's aware that we have a collective bargaining agreement with the Elkton Police Department. This was something that our police department lobbied for. I don't know how many years ago it was now, but they lobbied for it, and the residents of the town of Elkton approved the arbitration or the collective bargaining. And this year, on their anniversary date, they'll receive a 3% increase in their pay. We're also proposing this year that all non-police officers, that's every other employee of the town, would receive a 3% salary adjustment on July 1st, 21. So it'd be a total increase of 3%. So the sworn officers would get a 3% on their anniversary date, and all other employees would get a 3% increase based on July 1.
Mayor, could I make a comment here?
Yes, sir.
Joe Zarillo was very successful in negotiating a contract with the FOP, and I believe, Joe, you can correct me if I'm wrong, that the FOP signed off on the terms that they had requested, that you consolidated into the proposed collective bargaining agreement. But that includes some additions to them in terms of pay. I think Joe can qualify any comments that I make, but it includes the senior PFCs will get additional money because of the tenure that they have and that rank until corporal opens up. They do get that. Also, training officers get an hour overtime per shift, I believe. Is that right, Joe?
That's correct.
Why an officer's in training. Usually, I think a training, and Carolyn can correct me if I'm wrong, is usually a 12-week period. And
That's
so
right.
they actually have a experienced officer conductor being responsible for training for new people out of the academy, and we'll have 2 coming out. And I think there's is there other additional benefits that cost money, Joe? Or
Lois, just to interrupt for a second. We did
Okay.
include those in the budget,
okay, that's
the
fine. Thank you.
senior officers and so forth. We projected their increases. as
Okay,
included.
that's fine. I just wanted the board to be aware of that collective bargaining agreement. And and as the mayor commented, getting police officers now is a real challenge because they have a number of people that qualify for taking a test, and after the test, there's only a few left. And out of those, by the time you get a background investigation done, some more may be eliminated. Then we've had some go to the academy and be discharged from the academy. Like recently, we had that happen recently. So getting 2 officers through that system and getting them into training and staying online with the police department is a real challenge for us because of police, the environment in which they work today.
It is, and I don't want to speak for the chief, but I know the
And
pool
that's
of
what I can really ask her to speak. Go ahead, Joe.
I know the pool of applicants have been getting smaller, but the competition for those applicants has been increasing drastically. There's area agencies like up in Delaware, I know Newcastle County, they're offering $10,000 signing bonuses, and they have a starting pay of about $57,000. So these are this is kind of the environment that Chief Rogers has to compete in, and just trying to provide little caveats that helps her in her recruiting endeavors.
Along with the sheriff's office too.
Is there anything that the chief has to say in reference to this? Appreciate both of you. I know you've been involved, but sometimes you need to talk to the head.
Well, they're both absolutely right. And I've tried to start including you guys in this management report so you kind of see some of the other things that are going on within the agency. And one of those is the recruiting. So we have requested 4 positions in Baltimore County's academy that starts in June. And we have 1 person who's totally completed the process. And we expect him to come on board, I believe, June 1st. 4 positions obviously is very optimistic. But if we can get 2 more in an academy right now, we'll be really happy with that. And then we have an open application. So we constantly take applications and we're constantly recruiting. But one of the things we're doing too is we want to make this the best place to work. And while pay is absolutely important, and please don't get me wrong, but I know that we're kind of limited with that with the agreement with the FOP. But it's also just as important to people that they enjoy where they work and that they feel appreciated and respected and valued. So we're trying to do some internal training on leadership, and we're going to do some other things to make it more appealing to people and where they want to work here. So,
Thank you, Chief.
Carolyn, are we in the ballpark of our surrounding competition? Like the sheriff's department, or just,
So actually,
line like in, Harford County or?
So actually, for our starting salary, I believe we're right on line with the sheriff's department. We were a little ahead, and I think that they've requested a bump in that. But obviously, 57,000, we can't even compete with that. I think our starting salary right now is 43,000. So we can't compete with them. I know some of the other smaller agencies will offer at least 43. I know Perryville was offering, and they have a little bit of leeway in what they offer because, of course, they have much fewer officers. But they don't have a lot of the other benefits that we have too. And we really try and talk those up because the town has been very generous with us, with our pension plan and with our vacations and other things like that. And our schedule is very appealing to a lot of people. So
that's going to be my next question about the benefit packages. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, listen, I can ask everyone to raise their right hand, and I can deputize a few of you here today if you'd like.
I'll remember that if I get in a pinch.
I don't know if we want Rob with any type of weapon in his hand over there.
You can totally trust me.
All right, very good. All right, thank you, Chief.
You're welcome.
Okay, the next item, I think there's a request to hire a full-time human resources director. Currently, we are contracted out on our HR And, you know, I think at the time it was the right move for us to do and give it a shot, this contractual HR service. But after talking to a lot of employees, I think that the answer is they want someone here, a full-time HR manager. So that's in the budget for this year, and that's kind of where we're at with that. Now, that position I've seen, I know that Joe Zarillo has been working, sending the information back and forth with Lewis, talking about the job description and the amount of money that it would be, and I'm sure it's going to be right in line with a great position for someone to come on board with the town of Elkton. The next item we have, there's a request from Parks and Rec in this budget for a new position. It would be considered a recreation coordinator number 2. It would have a salary and a fringe benefit of anywhere from $58,000 to $75,600, depending on what type of health care coverage they have. So I think everyone's aware that the town of Elkton has some of the finest health insurance benefits they are, and that if I looked at the estimates correctly, normally it's about a third of what your salary is the added benefits, maybe a little more than a third. So give that some thought. This is, once again, this is the wish list. I want you to digest that. I think once we get into the new community center, I think we are going to need probably more full-time bodies.
So the new person, Mary, I know you're online, is coordinator 2. So what is Cheney's title?
Cheney is a recreation supervisor.
Okay, so we got a director and you, supervisor, and a new person going to be whatever. So the person that is going to be your recreation coordinator 2, how many hours would they be working during the week?
40.
40. And you work 40 and Cheney works 40?
Yes.
Okay, now my next question is, you don't open on Sundays, you open partially on Saturdays. So you all will be working 120 hours between Monday, basically, and Thursday. So what time do you open on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday?
So right now we're opening Monday, Thursday, and Friday at 2. But once the kids are out of school, we'll be open beginning at 7 a.m. All summer, because we do the summer camp and we drop off at 7. So we'll be open from probably 7 a.m. till 8 or 9 at night. And then
so the coming weeks, when the kids get out, then basically the center's going to be open for 12 hours.
yes.
So was there going to be a lot of overtime?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Overtime.
No. We wouldn't have overtime.
No overtime?
No.
Mary is exempt anyway. She's an exempt employee.
Lois, I'm not talking about exempt employees. I'm talking about operational hours at the center with 3 people. Are they going to get those hours in, considering the salary that the person coming in is getting? We're looking at 2 different things, sir.
Okay, Mary?
And I guess my question is answered somewhat.
So what he's looking for is them to alternate their schedule so that the gym will be operational during the week.
Mm-hmm.
That's basically what he's looking for, right?
Yes, I'm done. Questions answered.
So in other words, all 3 of us not gonna be working the same hours during the day and then turn around. If things closed at night, maybe somebody's gonna be working 12 to 8, the other one working from 8 to 4 or something like that. That's what he's looking for.
We're good.
Okay.
Thanks.
Item number 7 that's on the highlights, projected health insurance increase this year is one of the first times I've seen it be 0 right from the get-go. Normally it's 5, 6, 7%, and then we beat it down to zero. Well, this year came back at zero. So maybe there'll be a decrease this year. I don't know. I doubt that, but there's no increase in our projected health increase or health insurance. Okay, municipal building repairs and maintenance. This is a request from Public Works. Dan believes that the municipal building in the DPW parking lots, it's time for a mill and an overlay of the macadam out there, as well as a repair of the compost and salt storage buildings. So if the board gets an opportunity, please take a look at our lots, and we'll come up with a firm answer on that. But that's a $100,000 cost, but I'm sure it's well overdue. I don't know if it's been when the last time the parking lots have been done. Item number 9, the Maryland Main Street Program, and that's our grant to the Elkton Alliance and the Main Street Program. I have in here to continue it at $100,000. That would fund the Main Street Program, and what our requirement, I think our requirement with the Main Street Program is actually $50,000. And this would also allow the Elkton Alliance and Chamber to have their $50,000 grant. Number 10, discuss resolution R4 2020. Okay, in your packet, you should have a copy of resolution R 2020. Now, this resolution was a resolution we did as a board when we decided to build the community center. With the unknown that's going on right now with funding, we self-funded this project. We actually borrowed $2.8 million from our general fund, or from our sewer fund, and we put it into the general fund, and we were able to build the community center without borrowing any money from anywhere other than ourselves. What I'd like to ask the board, and it's not today, but give it some thought, I'd like to postpone the payment back to the sewer fund for 1 year. So we'll take another look at it next year, but we would postpone it because we just aren't 100% sure of the funding. If we move forward to make the first payment, that payment would be let's see, I think that payment was like $140,000, and I don't have it here on this resolution, but that's what we figured it would be. So give it some thought. I think it makes sense if we can just redo the resolution and push it back a year. But that's what that's in regards to. And the last item to, if we gave everything that we wanted to give here, in fact, I'm gonna skip item 11, and I'm going to go over to the capital budgets if I could. So on the second page, you're going to see a budget request for everything that's included in this budget. So our finance department is in desperate need of the financial software upgrade. We put it off. So we're requesting, it's a $75,000 request from the general fund, and it would be $37.5 from the water fund and $37.5 from the sewer fund. So I'm assuming it's a total financial software increase of $150,000, but it's something we've been putting off, and we definitely need to get it done. The second item is in the police department. We started a program a few years ago where we were trying to implement and improve our fleet to where we have vehicles that are only anywhere from 8 to 12 years old. And we were doing a pretty good job with that. But the last 2 years, we haven't acquired any new police cars. And I think this is a year that we need to get back onto that so we don't get far behind from it again. So I'm putting the budget 6 new police vehicles, an upgrade to the policy manual. There's also, we want to do the security expansion keypad access to the property room in the police department. There's going to be new uniforms for the street crimes unit and the canine officers. and also new hardware, which would be new PCs and laptops. That total capital request from the police department would be $359,961.
Question.
Yes.
What does I know what a manual is, but what does the manual entail? How many manuals are there? Or it's just one manual?
Chief, can you answer that for us? The Lexipol police?
Yes, yes,
manual?
actually, this is an online manual. And it's a little bit more than even just a manual. They'll come in and they will help us make sure our policies are all up to date and legally sound. Every time new laws come out, like with this year, with all the laws that are coming out, they will update them automatically in our manual and update our policies. And then, so each officer will have their own log on to this system. It's all web-based. And they will get, so that we'll have record that they acknowledge that they got the policy. And then they actually do a little training segment on each change in policy. And then they actually have like a little quiz on it. So it's a little more than just the policy, but it also, one big thing about policy is it's only good if people know policy. And this is a way that we can make sure that they're trained on it, that they have an understanding of it, and then we have the documentation for it. And just updating the policies as the laws come out to make sure that we're compliant.
Could I comment here?
Absolutely.
The board, I'm not sure if the board's aware of it, but the Maryland General Assembly repealed the Law Enforcement Officers Bill of Rights. And that will have a dramatic effect on the policy under which the Elkton Police, as far as other police departments in Maryland, operate in respect to disciplinary matters. So that's a good example of how a policy change is so important because it affects every officer throughout Maryland for that matter. And also there are additional safeguards that the General Assembly included in that. And I'm sure that when this policy manual or this policy service actually is upgraded, it'll include those changes in law as you mentioned.
Well,
Yeah, our current policy and procedure manual is like 970 some pages. And so, and when we had our initial meeting with Lexipol, they were like, it's not even cost effective to go through each policy there and do that. So they recommend that we just start from scratch with their basic policies and that we go through them with them and see how it's how it works here and how we do things here in Elkton and then just totally redo that. So to be.
Yeah, I'm appreciative of the fact that you do have the manual and that each officer will have to go on there and read it. Because then not only that with the training, and then you have a quiz afterwards. That's very good.
Yeah.
It shows that they're gonna go on there and do what they're supposed to do as officers. The other item is, I guess, Lois, the keypad to the Armory. What is that? Quite sure. I don't know. So Rob doesn't know. Gene doesn't know.
Within the police department, we have a room that's considered our armory where we keep all of our ammunition and our extra weapons and parts. And so right now it's just, we have a key that accesses it, but there's several keys and there's no, and even our property room where we keep all of our evidence and property that we seize, is the same way. It's just done based on a key, but there's no other security measures in place. So I couldn't tell you who got the key and who went in there. And we just want a little bit more security for that. So this, we already have a keypad entry in and out of the police department in the front and back doors. And this would just update that software and then add a few more like the door panels and keypad entry. And then we will be able to pull reports out. So I'll know exactly who went into the property room, for instance, how long they were in there, and even the armory. We just kind of want to include that on there. This is just the first step in there. I'm going to be looking at more for property room security in the future, maybe some cameras and things. It's just one of the big things we need to make sure that we're doing absolutely correctly. And I want to protect our property custodians. And in the armory, I want to protect our firearms people.
So whoever has security access, you can determine who was in and who was out.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, not everybody, they're key fobs that access this. Not everybody would have access to the property room and to the armory like they do coming in and out of the building. But we can actually narrow down to which doors that they have access to. And then we'll be able to pull a report out for those that have access when they entered and exit.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, very good. Public Works is requesting a new replacement vehicle for the stormwater management program manager. They are also requesting a Billy Goat leaf vacuum, which is a smaller portable leaf vacuum to get into areas where it's a little bit more difficult to get into rather than the big vac truck that we have. And then they're also requesting a batwing large area mower, and that would be able to mow grass a little bit faster and quicker than some of the units that we have here today. So the total amount of the Public Works capital request was $53,166.
I'd like to comment if I could.
Yep.
I don't know if Dan's online here or not, but one of the issues that, one of the things that may interest the board is when you see a vehicle being replaced, an F-350 is a fair-sized vehicle, but the reason Public Works uses a vehicle like that is because we get plow package, salt spreaders and things with those vehicles, and they're four-wheel drive. So when we have snow events, we have adequate vehicles to address all the streets in Elkton. Years ago, when I first started, we had a number of trucks that could not be adapted to plowing snow or anything. So I made a decision a long time ago that any vehicle that we buy has to be converted during snow events or other, critical events that are adaptable to multiple uses, not simply to drive around in or look at things. So that's why we use those types of trucks. I don't know if Dan.
I agree. There you go.
Okay. I knew that's one of the driving forces behind what Dan does, because he prepares for emergencies and events that need these types of equipment.
Thank you, Lou.
Mayor, are we addressing the salary discussion that Dan put in his letter? Was there something, I mean, 'cause it's not in.
I didn't put any of that in the, but we can talk about that.
I was just wondering, I mean.
Hey, Dan, while we have you on in your previous budget request, you talked about a salary survey. And recently, the minimum wage for the state of Maryland was $11.75. It will be raised to $12.50 on January 1. So what are you thinking?
So basically, the reason I put the salary survey in, because I think HR is putting it together and stuff, is you got two problems, especially in my position. Number one is hiring people, just getting out there, just getting them out there. I got to fight with the Amazons. I got to fight with the temporary warehouse people. And with the minimum wages, my guys, I don't think they need to be comparably compensated. Second thing is you also retain the good people, because if you look at the amount of people I have here, a lot of them are skilled. So you want to make sure, the benefit package is great. I love working for the town of Elkton, but deep down, we also want to make sure that, are all the people being paid fairly to see what's what. So I did reach out to, as part of my budget, I said, hey, let's just see what's out there compared to other jurisdictions. And then you can see how we aligned. I don't know if we're good. I don't know if we're bad. That's why I just wanted to reach out, because I just wasn't sure, to be frank with you. So that's something I think the board hopefully look into it and say, are we about the same? Are we lower? We just want to know, as for informational purposes.
I think as we move forward, I think we have to be competitive against the Amazons and the logistic locations out there. So once we get the HR director on, I think it'll be great.
Yeah, that's all I'm asking.
Very good. So Parks and Rec has in the capital budget request of a floor cleaner scrubber for the gym, and that would be something that's necessary for that type of floor. So that floor cleaner would be at $11,000. So our capital budget request from everyone in the town of Elkton is just under $500,000. It was $499,000. 127. So take a look at these numbers over the next couple days and give me some input. If you want to add anything to the budget or decrease anything from the budget, certainly all ears. There's one other thing that's not in the budget was that we were told that we will be receiving a grant from the state of Maryland for $250,000 for the renovation of the Elkton Colored School, but I haven't received anything formally on that yet. But we were told by Delegate Hornberger and County Executive Hornberger that there was this grant was approved. So that's great news.
Do we have to match anything?
No.
Oh, wow.
It's a non-matching grant.
Wow.
So it's great news, and I know Commissioner Givens had something to do with that. We really appreciate everything you did with that, because that's wonderful.
Thank you.
Charlie's a man.
No,
How
I'm
did
trying
you
to
do that?
trying to
I
not-
want to hear.
Listen, he did a great job.
I want to hear that. Okay, so what
Um,
about bleachers? Are we doing bleachers or no?
We're
I knew there was discussion. Are we not going there this year or what? I'm
So-
sorry, I
So,
apologize.
Gene just asked a question about bleachers. Louis, do we have any information on that?
I'm sorry, I didn't,
Gene just asked, are we doing anything about bleachers in the recreation center?
no, we're not, we don't have bleachers in that, in the gym. Not enough room for them.
So what she's trying to get at is, in this budget, we've got to try to figure out some seating arrangements for the recreation center. So that should be somewhere in this budget.
I think we're gonna use existing chairs. Mary and Mary's somewhere out there. She can comment, but we have a lot of chairs we can use.
And the chairs give us the flexibility if we're going full court or cross court.
Yeah, we simply don't have room for bleachers in there, do we?
Not
It depends
Not big
on
ones.
what bleachers are out there. Some have the small sitting bleachers that may hold about 30. Of course, Lois, you mentioned the chairs, that's true, but there are smaller bleachers, but that's your decision. I know at the YMCA, when they have basketball or crowds like we would have or hope to have, they have some smaller bleachers, but Murray, you can look into that.
I mean, if we
Lois.
don't need them, it's fine. I
No.
just didn't know if it was an item that.
Well, Mary, we're going down to the Maryland Municipal League this year.
That's true.
And I think we'll bring back some information from the Parks and Playground folks. And maybe we can get them to make a presentation to us about that.
Okay.
So what we probably need to do is find out, have a floor, if you could get us a blueprint of what the actual dimensions of what we have at that court, then we'll put Commissioner Piner in charge of there at MML this year in finding the right seating arrangement, or at least get a quote to see what we're looking at. Or actually, I'm happy to do that.
Yeah.
So just get me a floor plan.
Or if you measure from the wall out to the floor where you think it's appropriate, a foot or so within the end line, you can get a measurement that way.
Comment. My comments are, we just built this place and Wickersham has provided us a full set of plans, several sets. So we have the
Perfect.
precise dimensions of every room in that building. So that's not an issue for us.
That is perfect. I actually mentioned this to Steve Repole yesterday. And I probably have to do a little bit more research with it, but each of us members up here had a little discussion with Singerly Fire Company, and there was some mention about the ISO, which is the insurance rating for the town of Elkton. A few years ago, the rating was at a 6, which means that Singerly Fire Company performed just slightly better than half of the fire companies across the United States. Well, this ISO number of 6 affects every resident of the town of Elkton, as well as any business. It affects their fire insurance rating, as well as how much of a premium that we pay. Last year, Singerly Fire Company was able to get their ISO rating down to a 3. They are ranked number 12. They're in the top 12% in the country. And they're one of, I think there's only, I thought it was like 8 or 9 fire companies in the state of Maryland that have a better rating. So what does that mean? They're telling me that we need to go to our insurance company who has our fire rated insurance and tell them that we are an ISO 3 now in this area, and they will reduce our insurance costs. They won't do it unless we ask them for it. Now, any new people that come into the town, they'll look at the ISO rating, and I guess new people get the new rating. But if you're an existing customer, you have to ask. But this comes into play for larger corporations like a Terumo or a WL Gore, possible new customer that we're looking at today. They need to know about this rating, and it could affect them by thousands of dollars. I'm sure it affects the town of Elkton by thousands of dollars. So maybe we could take a look at that, but it was called the ISO rating, fire rating for the town of Elkton. And my understanding it's a 3, which could save the town of Elkton money, but many residents. And if it does come out to be true about that, then I think we need to do the press release and make them aware that Singerly has got this great rating and that we can all save some money.
So would Steve, would you be the one handling that or? Oh, I'm sorry.
We've got, Michelle's gonna handle it. We got Michelle on it.
Yes, a comment. We're insured by the local government insurance trust for loss. So we'll contact them about the ISO rating and see if it'll affect the rates that we have for loss.
Yeah, that would be nice to know if there's any fact to that rating.
Right.
Okay, does anyone from the board, once again, this is just very preliminary. This is the wish list. If there's anything that you need to see onto this budget, oh, I needed to add one last thing. Item number 11, which I skipped over, the fund balance. If we gave everything that was on this wish list, we would have to use in fund balance $1.984 million. So we'd have to use close to $2 million of anticipated fund balance. And quite frankly, as we said last year, I'm not sure if we'd have anything left if we used it all. We're very fortunate. I think some of the money is coming back to us this year because we weren't fully employed by our police department. We weren't fully employed by the public works. And we are budgeting for 45 positions for the police department, and we are doing the same thing. So we're budgeting for positions that I know that we can't fill, but they're budgeted for. So give that some thought, everybody. Any questions from anyone out there, Lou? You got any other questions for us or comments?
I have one more question for Lois. I guess assuming police and law enforcement, as I look at the vehicles you're gonna buy, evidently they are going with SUV vehicles more so than regular sized cars. Lois?
I don't think we can buy sedans anymore. The SUVs are what we buy through contract. I think we, unless I'm wrong, and Carolyn's online here, we buy our police cars through Hertrick. And Hertrick, I think their sales through Maryland, that it's a, for the sales price, that they have contract sales price with the state, are for SUVs, aren't they?
Yeah, that's
Carolyn?
true. That's true. But I also, for another reason, think that it's a great idea because one, for the same reason you're talking about, we used to have to borrow trucks and vehicles from all the other departments in the town when it snowed. And now we don't have to do that because we do have, our fleet is 4-wheel drive. So that's one of the benefits, but also just the space, because it's become their office now, and they have a lot of equipment in there, their e-tics, their computers, their just everything that they have in there. So we almost need a large vehicle like this just for them to have everything they need with them.
Could I comment? I actually looked in one of the vehicles and it competes with NASA now
Yeah.
compared to what I used to be as a patrolman. We had
Yes.
a radio. Now they got, it looks like something that would, like a jet plane or something with all
Yeah,
the
that's true.
stuff in there. It's incredible.
That's good. Any other comments?
Another thing to add is my mechanics actually, we see the vehicles. Actually, Craig and Roy, we ripped the entire insides out and rewired for the amount of electronics that the EPD has. So it's quite something to see. If you ever saw it together, it's quite a package. They do carry a lot of stuff with them. So
And I know it's, by Public Works doing the upfit work now, it saves us a lot of money. I definitely know that. Well, thank you, everybody, for attending today, and send me emails on any questions or comments you have. Thank you.